Was it a mistake by Speaker McCarthy to give access to Tucker Carlson of this security footage?
My concern is how it was depicted, which is a different issue. Clearly, the chief of the Capitol Police, in my view, correctly describes what most of us witnessed firsthand on January 6th. So that's my reaction to it. It was a mistake, in my view, for Fox News to depict this in a way that's completely at variance with what our chief law enforcement official here at the Capitol said.
Last night, millions of Americans tuned in to one of the most shameful hours we have ever seen on cable television. With contempt for the facts, disregard of the risks, and knowing full well he was lying to his audience, Fox News host Tucker Carlson ran a lengthy segment last night arguing the January 6th Capitol attack was not a violent insurrection. By diving deep into the waters of conspiracy and cherry-picking from thousands of hours of security footage, Mr. Carlson told the bold-faced lie that the Capitol attack, which we all saw with our own eyes, was somehow not an attack at all. I, so many others who were here in the Capitol, and millions of Americans are just furious with Tucker Carlson and Kevin McCarthy today. Many of my staff were here at the Capitol on January 6th. Their lives were put in danger, as were the lives of many of my colleagues, as well as police, maintenance staff, reporters, countless others. To say January 6th was not violent is a lie pure and simple. I don't think I've ever seen a primetime cable news anchor manipulate his viewers the way Mr. Carlson did last night. I don't think I've ever seen an anchor treat the American people and American democracy with such disdain. Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, tell Carlson not to run a second segment of lies. You know it's a lie. You've admitted it's a lie. And Speaker McCarthy is every bit as culpable as Mr. Carlson. Speaker McCarthy's decision to share security footage with Fox looked like a mistake from the very beginning. But after last night, it looks like a disaster. Speaker McCarthy has played a treacherous game by catering to the hard right. He's enabled the big lie and has further eroded away at our precious democracy. What a low point for Speaker McCarthy. What a low point for Fox News. Democrats, Republicans, independents need to take a stand and call out Mr. Carlson's conduct for what it is, a dangerous, unforgivable attempt to destabilize our democracy and rewrite the history of the worst attack on our Constitution since the Civil War.
Downplay what happened that day. What's your recollection of that day? Was it mostly peaceful, as he suggested?
Well, I didn't listen to Tucker Carlson. I generally don't. But my recollection of the day is that it was not just some rowdy, peaceful protest of Boy Scouts, nor was it, the takedown of democracy that others, on the extreme side want to call it. I think people that participated in it should be held to account. I think people that led it should be especially held to account. I think that breaking through glass windows and doors to get into the United States Capitol against the orders of police is a crime. I think particularly when you come into the chambers, when you start opening members' desks, when you stand up in their balcony, to somehow put that in the same category as a permitted peaceful protest is just a lie, and I think it doesn't do any good for the narrative. I think we need to have a more serious discussion about what it was, what it is, and we ought to be moving forward more than.
Do you think the Speaker made a mistake to give it to Tucker Carlson? Carlson?
Well, I've never been the speaker and would never be the speaker, but I guess if you had sensitive footage or footage that wanted to demonstrate something, I could probably think of other sources to give it to, or maybe give it to all sources equally. I think by giving it to one source, particularly one who is very good at conservative entertainment, but I never confuse my job with his, nor should the speaker confuse his job with Tucker Carlson's. The best thing to do is to give it to every source at the same time and let everybody go through it and play it in its entirety if you want. I think the best thing would be for the entire American public to be able to see it if they choose to and look at it in its entire context, and then avoid the political opinions versus just looking at the facts.
Senator,
Clear.
last night and downplaying the January 6th attack.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, I think you guys all know what I think about what happened. Look, I assume at some point all that footage is going to be out there in circulation so everybody can make their own determinations.
What do you think that happened that day?
Well, I mean, I think it was, it was an attack on the Capitol.
I mean, you said it was not an insurrection. Was it an insurrection in your view?
Well, I don't know how you want to describe it. All I know is that there were a lot of people in the Capitol at the time who I think were scared for their lives. So you can, however you want to describe it, but it was an attack on the Capitol.
Was it a mistake by the speaker to give Tucker Carlson this footage, given that he's downplayed this attack for so long?
In the same way that Kenosha people, I remember vividly a picture on some news outlets that when we were seeing all the devastation in Kenosha, there was a building burning. I think it was a church, and the headline was mostly peaceful protest. Both of those were inexcusable, and they should be called out for what they are.
Do you think that McCarthy should have given Tucker Carlson this footage?
That's Leader McCarthy's choice. I don't know the scope of what he shared, but I think picking out some things, I was here. I was down there. And I saw maybe a few tourists, a few people who got caught up in things, but when you see police barricades breached, when you see police officers assaulted, all of that, or you had to be in close proximity to it. If you were just a tourist, you should have probably lined up at the visitor center and came in on an orderly basis. So I just don't think it's helpful, but I do think it's important to point out that that's happened on both ends of the political spectrum, and they're both wrong.
Thanks.
Thank you, Senator.
No, I said at the very beginning, transparency. And so what I wanted to produce for everybody is exactly what I said, that people can actually look at it and see what's gone on that day. Look, each person can come up with their own conclusion, but what I just wanted to make sure is I had transparency. Well, I associate my comments with myself, Kevin McCarthy, who said I would give it transparency, and I hope McConnell would have been concerned with CNN when they actually told the American public where we were, even though when we were there at Fort McNair, that we were told we couldn't tell anybody. There are many more hours than the January 6th committee even told you or the American public. They said there was only 14,000 hours of tapes. And it's interesting, the other things that January 6th committee said, when they said louder, no, they walked over. We found the tapes that wasn't true, but we did find that a Democrat who sat on that committee did give a tour into the Capitol that day, but that never came forward.